Alright guys, today we're going to be doing another rear wheel. This one's a little bit different. This uses a freewheel style mechanism instead of a free hub. And so we're going to take this apart and clear it up. I'm going to show you how to service this hub and the freewheel. Some tools that you might need in order to do this job properly. I have our rubber mallet. I have an adjustable wrench. We have our series of box wrenches here. You will need a particular tool, special tool here used for removing freewheels. Potentially we might need a hammer and kind of a nail or something like that. I have a little case here for holding ball bearings and a set of pliers that are designated for a snap ring. We'll show you how we're going to use that when we get a little bit closer. So let's get started and jump into this project. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is try to take the axle out. This axle has these little nuts on each end of it, and then find a way to get these off. This is a 17-inch wrench for this side, and I'm going to use my adjustable spanner for the other side to see if we can break this loose and remove the axle here. And this kind of axle is a little bit different than what we're normally working with. When this comes loose, it's a cone style, and so what we're going to have once we get this open is bearings that are going to be loose and want to fall out, so we want to make sure that we're prepared to capture those. And once you get it loose, see, there goes a handful of my bearings now. Once you get it loose, it'll come apart pretty easy by hand. And I'm just watching the back side here, a handful of bearings here that are just totally ready to come out. Okay, so once you get the back side done, you can go ahead and give it a knock and see if you can get some more of those bearings to come out from the back side. And you want to make sure that you keep track now of what's coming off of there and the order in which they come. And we've got this cap there, we've got a securing nut there, and I'm going to put all of this in my little box to keep it all safe. That now gives us right up into this side, and so the axle should just pull right on out now, and you can see, remember kind of what this looks like. You see the bearing race in there, and we shouldn't have to adjust this side of it at all. Now we'll be able to look down in here and see a little bit how that mechanism works. You can see there's bearings down inside of there. And it's all gooped and gunked up that need to be cleaned a long time ago. So what we're going to do now then is try to take this ring, we're going to try to loosen it up while it's on the wheel. That's a little bit easier to do. Okay, so on the top of this, we have this ring here, and it's got these two little holes that what we're going to try to do is match these snap ring pliers up with these holes. Now, we're going to turn this clockwise, which is a reverse thread. Try to see if we can break this loose, and we're leaving it on the tire so that we can get some leverage on the outside to try to hold it down. And that's super tight, but it did break loose. And once we get it like that, just a few more turns, and I'll be able to remove it by hand. But we're not going to take it out all the way yet. What we're going to do is get our free hub tool, freewheel tool, and get it down in there, and then use our open-ended wrench to try to break this loose. In my experience, it's best to stand the wheel up when you do this so that you can lean on the wheel and use the traction that you get in order to get this loose. And it could be really, really tight. Just comes off just like that. Yes, so we're gonna dive into the unscrewing here. And be able to lift it right off of there. Now, I'll show you a couple things. Here's the inside of the hub. See the bearings there need to be re-greased, and they're starting to pack up on each other, so clear that out. Make sure I've got all my bearings there. And this is the back side of this free hub and the front side, so we can remove this. And now we're going to dive into opening this up and seeing what's inside of there. Okay, so now that we have the free hub off of here, we're going to spin this. Remember, this is reverse step, so we're going to spin it clockwise, trying to get it to come out of here. And this little tool I have, it's actually a spoke that I've cut down to a usable size. So you get it to this point, and then you'll be able to pull that ring off of there. And then you can see there's all of my bearings down in there, and it is very dry, and we may be even missing some. And what I can do is lift this up, but before I do that, I'm going to try to get those bearings out of there so I don't lose any of them. A little trick for this is to get a piece of metal and then attach a magnet to it. This is a magnet that comes off of like a speed sensor or whatever. But what I can do then is put this down in there and then pull up these bearings, the fear of losing any of them. So once you get all those bearings out of there, we're ready to remove this center piece. And there's two ways that you can do it. You can push down from this side, but one of the other ways is to flip it over and then to grab it from the back side and lift it up out of there. And if it won't come, it's because the pawls are catching. So if you spin it while you pull, you'll be able to work with it to get it out. And there you go. So there's the inside of this with the pawls there, the pawl springs, and ratcheting mechanism down inside of there. When you get it open, you want to make sure that you keep the bearings separated and divided. So here I've got the bearings from the top. There's 30 in there. Here I've got the bearings from the bottom. I counted 33. So that will help me when I start to put this thing back together. Okay, when you get your insides all cleaned up, and it's time to start reassembling. So what I'm going to do, put some grease and then reapply the bearings that go in here. Okay, when you get all the ball bearings on there, you've got to remember these two little spacers that are just going to slide over the top like that. Okay, and then you can take your cassette body there and you place it down in there, and then as you apply, give it a small twist so that the pawls kind of cooperate with you as you sit that down in there. And then you've got it on and you're ready to flip it over and do the top side. Get the bearings down in there. Then we have this little race right here. We're gonna just apply a thin layer of grease here. Make sure that there's a smooth surface for the bearings to operate in. And then you want to remember that this is reverse thread, and so we're gonna turn it counterclockwise to get it to sit down in there. And if you have some snap ring pliers or something that you can get a little more torque on, that's great. You should definitely do that. Just tighten it up by hand. As tight as you can get it, feel comfortable with there. And there you go. This thing's all back together, so we're ready to start reassembling our rear hub. Remember, this is got a tray of ball bearings, 8 for each side. So I'm going to get my my grease, all-purpose grease, and just grease the inside of the cup here. Look, man, it doesn't take a ton. Enough to hold the bearings in place. So you can just set them down in there, kind of push them against the sidewall so they stick in place. I'm going to take a little bit of grease, just kind of wipe it over the top of those ball bearings so they're all nice and greasy, ready to go. This can be a little bit tricky because now we got to do the other side too. So I'm going to keep a finger on the back side, kind of hold those bearings in, and then just take a ball of grease here, put it around here, just like we did on the other side. And then put the bearings in. Okay, now we're ready to install the axle. All right, now we're ready to put the axle back in. Should have looking like this. This cap might have come off when you're taking it apart, but you can easily just put it back on with your fingers. And this is the drive side, so we're going to insert it into the hub like this. And once we got that side in place, then we're going to start working with this side. Screw this back on here. All right, so we get that on there finger tight, You should be able to rotate that. Should feel mostly smooth. Put this little retaining nut on there, and then we're ready to put the actual nut. Screw that down hand tight. Okay, once you get here, this is kind of the part that makes people nervous, the tricky part. This is all hand tightened and it's running smooth, but if we put it in the wheel like this, there's a good chance that it will come loose while we're riding. So we have to use a cone wrench, 15 millimeter. This is actually a pedal wrench, so it just has to be a thin lined open-ended wrench. And then this like this. And I'm going to tighten that down, but what I want to do while I'm tightening it down is move this a little bit backwards, and what that's going to do is going to relieve pressure off of the ball bearings so that this thing will spin freely but have no play in it. And so that is really, really smooth. What's left now is to put the cassette back on here, and then we're going to be done with our project. Okay, so I've got this on the ground. It's a little easier to work with. Try to get it on there lined up okay. And then we're going to spin it again counterclockwise, this reverse thread. And you just keep spinning it until it tightens down. And you can hand tighten this when you are out riding. The tension of the chain will naturally tighten that down. And there you go. That's got the cassette on there. It's running really well. And the main objective, which was to work with the bearings here in the hub, there was super smooth. So that's a good fix-up. Thanks for watching. Now go wrench on your bikes.